Welcome, and we are a day and a half away from the Miami Dolphins' last game day of the season. And it's not the game itself, Patriots versus Dolphins at Gillette Stadium, 4:25 p.m. The Patriots playing for seeding purposes. That is the talk of the week. It is the Miami Dolphins and their GM search, their possible firing of their head coach, possible head coach search, just a whole complete mess going on in the front office. That's been going on in the front office since the beginning of the season. That is what is the talk of the week. And just a couple days ago, we had the report of Troy Aikman coming in, being hired by the Miami Dolphins as a consultant for their GM hire, and he will sit in the room where it will be Brendan Shore, Tom Garfinkel, Stephen Ross, and I think someone else be in the room for the process of hiring a GM. And it's been reported actually by David Hyde that he has been working, or he has already been hired by the Miami Dolphins for this for some time now. I believe they probably just announced it after the Monday Night Football is ended. This was the last week of Monday Night Football, Rams versus Falcons. So I'm pretty sure they just reported the news and announced it after that. So there's no conflicting of him working with a team while also being a commentator. Tom Brady. But yeah, whatever. Troy Aikman. But it's being reported he's just a consultant. He's not trying to leverage for the job himself. He's not going to make any other decisions. He's not even going to be the final decision maker in the GM search. He's basically a key card to unlock doors to other teams within other teams, get their full insight, he will most likely get their honest insight into the GMs that we want to hire and how they evaluate talent and what their real role is within their current organization, which also is the report. The Dolphins are looking for a talent evaluator, someone that is good with the scouting process, because Chris Greer, not good at that. And we want to be able to develop talent, draft raw talent, and let them develop with the Miami Dolphins, which is important to being a successful organization, a successful football team, and putting out a winning product. So at least they get that part. We want the new GM to be great at evaluating talent, and that's what Troy Aikman's for. He's the evaluator. He is the scout. He is the information gatherer for the Miami Dolphins front office, Tom Garfinkel, Shore, and Ross, in their hiring GM process. Because, of course, who else is there going to be? These idiots running the asylum at least recognize that they need some help hiring a GM, because Stephen Ross can't get a hire right for his life, can't do anything right for his life, even when he tries. And then Garfinkel, his dumb buddy beside him, he can't do anything. He's I don't know what he's good for either. The three of them, they haven't done anything good for the Miami Dolphins, and at least they've recognized we need some help. We need some guy that has insight into this league, that sits down with these front office people because of the Monday Night Football thing, and he knows these guys, and he will get the honest information, the honest evaluation of these possible GM candidates, and he'll lay out probably some GM candidates for the Miami Dolphins. So that's a good thing. I'm not mad about the Troy Aikman thing. I'm just wondering where Dan the Man is at, where Dan the Man Marino is, because he's a part owner. He's really involved. He's in the suite. He's in the box. Why isn't he being reported as more a part of the search? I think he is. I saw something that he is, but I don't know why he's not. His name's not active that he is a part of it, which is weird. But hey, Troy Aikman, he's helping. Whatever. We need something. We can't just let Ross do this by himself, or Garfinkel, his butt buddy, do it with him. No. Now, the thing also, it's the last game. Patriots, Dolphins. You know what that means? Mike McDaniel. His job's still in the air. Ross has not made a decision. It's been reported multiple times. Ross has not made a decision on whether Mike McDaniel is staying, whether he's leaving. It's not in his mind. It's not there. He could be fired on Black Monday, or we can get another one of those posts at the end of the season, like last season, where he's sticking with Mike McDaniel. And look, I'm not here to give my opinion on it. I'm just here to give the reports and see what the reports make it seem like. And I watched this video of Albert Breer here. I actually put it up right here. Here, take a listen.
Miami has won. They've already got the GM opening. I think they want to hang on to Mike McDaniel. We'll see how ownership feels after the weekend. I still think that one's a toss-up, but there's good feeling for the job Mike McDaniel's done down the stretch inside that building. Troy Aikman will be part of the search as a consultant. He's already started making calls around the league to do research.
So a toss-up is interesting, in my opinion. You know, as this guy said on Twitter, what's his name, the Liz Finn's pod. He said Mike McDaniel faced 50-50. That's what a toss up means, in my opinion. 50-50 chance. He will be back or will he not be back? And that's interesting because you remember the report a couple weeks ago where it was that he looks like he's going to be back. And he's also, they're saying Ross likes him. Ross doesn't want to fire him. He already had to make a painful fire on a guy he liked in Chris Greer. So is he going to be able to do that again? Does he think Mike McDaniel has something with the 2 playoff runs we went on? Runs to the playoffs we went on. We didn't go on a run in the playoffs, of course. And he's just been dealt with the Tua situation that's been awful with the Tua falling off help. It's going to be really, really interesting. But the thing I took away, not only about the toss-up being 50-50, which, the toss-up 50-50 is different from saying he is coming, he's most likely going to be staying. So it seems like this game against the Patriots is very important. Is he going to be able to keep it close with a team possibly playing for something? Being able to keep it close with a top-tier team in the AFC with Quinn Ewers? That will probably decide his fate if this is a true toss-up situation. It would be important for Mike McDaniel to show that he can lead with a different quarterback, even if he's young, work an offense that will make him succeed, make the team succeed, and the Dolphins are going to be missing key pieces. A-Chain's probably not going to play. Chop Robinson's probably not going to play. There's some other players I'm missing that probably aren't going to play, and it's going to be we can see what's going to happen with Mike McDaniel. So this game could have a big determination on Mike McDaniel's fate with the Miami Dolphins, but also now I want to combine the Troy Aikman and Mike McDaniel situation. As you know, on Monday Night Football, Troy Aikman was a critic of Mike McDaniel. I never heard that on commentary before for a commentator going at a coach like that. He was talking shit about Mike McDaniel not running a hurry-up offense, not throwing the ball downfield. During that Monday Night Football, we were down to multiple scores. The game was out of reach already. I didn't give a shit. I was already mad. But I understood where Troy Aikman was coming from. Why aren't you hurrying up? Why aren't you playing with urgency? Why aren't you calling plays with urgency? Why aren't your team playing with urgency in an urgent situation to even try to mount a comeback? I understood that. Now, Troy Aikman was hired by the Dolphins for this scenario, according to David Hyde, while he was talking shit about Mike McDaniel. And I know he's not there to make a head coaching decision, but he's there to consult in the process of hiring a guy that's going to probably have an influence on the head coaching position. Because if a GM is like a really good GM, Troy Aikman points out, but then he has to tell him, hey, you're going to be a Mike McDaniel. The guy says, no. You don't think he's going to go back to Ross, and Ross is going to make this decision to fire McDaniel for that great GM of the Packers. I don't know who that is, or an Eagles, so some guy that has put together a winning team. That's interesting. Does Aikman have to report the decision of Ross keeping McDaniel? Like, hey, Ross wants to keep McDaniel. You're going to have to come live with him for at least a year. Or is it also up to the new GM? If it's a great GM and Troy Aikman vouches for that GM to Ross, but the GM's like, no, I want my own coach. I want my own staff. Does Aikman go back to Ross and be like, hey, this guy doesn't want to deal with this shit coach Mike McDaniel anymore. He doesn't want to do that. And use that as leverage to get McDaniel and get this GM. That's a very weird situation going on. Very weird. I'm all for the Troy Aikman consulting. The Mike McDaniel decision, I don't know. I don't care. What happens is going to happen. I'm not going to influence the decision. Whatever Ross makes is probably going to be wrong anyways. Whether he fires him, he's going to go to the Browns and turn Shador into Tom Brady. And if he keeps him, we're just going to be a losing team again. Another middling, 7-10 team. Shit team. I do think Mike McDaniel has some good faith with Ross, and it's being reported likewise. I loved how he kept the team together, kept the team playing 5-2 stretch after the Chris Greer firing, even after getting smoked by the Ravens. I do like that, but I think it is time probably to move on. And I don't want the GM search to be lessened. Like, I don't want the candidates to be lessened because we have to keep Mike McDaniel. That he isn't worth keeping. He isn't worth getting in the way of hiring a great GM or the GM that you truly, truly want. If the GM says, I want my own staff, or I'm not coming, and he is the number one GM, the guy that you guys are after, the guy Aikman vouches for, the guy you guys like after the interview process, I don't think McDaniel's worth keeping for that. That doesn't make sense. You're gonna go in one direction, but stay in this past. Like, you're gonna look in the rearview mirror while looking in the front windshield. It doesn't make any sense. That doesn't work that way. You're gonna crash. And to keep Mike McDaniel over a new fresh start that could be promising, that's a bad decision. I hope they don't do that. Now if Ross wants to keep him and the GM's like, oh, okay, I'll work with him, that's a different story. But also, there's another situation where I saw Albert Breer's post saying if Ross really truly wants to keep McDaniel, like the 49ers, I don't know what's his name. I have to go to this bright ass post right here. Some candidates like the 49ers, someone in the 49ers front office, like 49ers executive Josh Williams, could have the edge in that Miami Dolphins GM search because he can deal with Mike McDaniel. He'll probably be cool with a Shanahan tree head coach, and that I don't want that to happen. That's the problem. I don't want this GM search to be the pool of good GMs or the pool of possible good GMs to be lessened because we want to keep Mike McDaniel. No, if they can make the decision themselves, that's what I want. They can make the decision themselves. They want to keep McDaniel or not. I don't want to pass up on a good GM because we want to keep this guy that has had 2 straight losing seasons and hasn't looked like he can make any changes whatsoever. Other than that, got nothing for you. Hopefully the Dolphins lose on Sunday. Not because I want McDaniel fired totally. It's because I want a better draft pick. That's why. I've been wanting them to lose the last 2 weeks. I just love seeing Quinn Ewers, his bright spots. That's it. That's all I want to see after this game. I want to see how it's going to be interesting how he is without Devon Achane, of course, the number 1 weapon on the offense, the guy the defense worries about the most. As a defender, I think Jalen Wright's cool, though. I feel like Jalen Wright, when Devon Achane's out, he's able to hold his own. But it'll be interesting. And yeah, and also cold weather, Quinn Ewers, playoff team, new quarterback. Let's see how he performs. I'll see, hoping the best for the kid, but I also hope the worst, that the Dolphins lose. Maybe lose about 3 points. Other than that, interesting stuff going on with the Dolphins front office organization. Hopefully, we get it all figured out. But we will not. Simple as that. Let's go, Fins.